Hey everyone, back in October, November of 2024, we did the Camino Francis in Spain. 6 weeks. For 6 weeks, we used this pack only. So we packed super light. We've had a lot of questions about how we pack so light, so we want to share that with you. Okay, so we're going to go through our packs and share everything that was in here. And this includes what we were actually wearing every single day. Now on the side, I've got my little mini gorilla tripod, blah, 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 blah. I did actually use that. And we're going to start just going through our packs and sharing what we have in here. Now these are pretty packed full. These are Gregory Maya 20 liters. They worked great. But there might be some things I might change if and when we do this in the future. So, ready to open your pack?
Yep. Well, first off, I have my cell phone. I'm holding it because I always kept it in my pocket.
And mine's filming, of course.
And you can see we had a fanny pack.
And we'll go
I'll
through the
come back
contents
to
of
that. But let's start on the outside. I kept a water bottle over here. And then I have my raincoat over here and my rain pants here. So if it started to rain, it was really easy to access that and my pack cover. So all of my rain gear right outside, plus my hat, which I wore every single day.
And you have REI brand hat. And I'm going to put links to everything below in the description.
On the outside, I also have sunscreen. Again, easy to access if we wanted to reapply it. Then on the outside pocket, gloves. Honestly, only wore these mostly if it was windy. And we were there in the fall, so it was really useful to have some layer of wind resistance on your hands. And then toilet paper. Sometimes there just wasn't toilet paper, so I highly recommend that. And then just a few little things to, if I needed to tie something on to the outside if it was wet, or if I needed to pin it, I have some things on the outside here to do that. So when we were doing our laundry, sometimes it didn't get completely dry.
Right, so I've got a couple safety pins here, which is just perfect.
So then on the inside, puffy coat for warmth. That's the only warm coat I had.
And we both have Patagonia. These are just light puffer coats. They worked perfectly for everything we needed.
And then our toiletry kit, okay, and a toothbrush. So electric toothbrush.
So someone couldn't just go with a lightweight toothbrush.
One base and then 2 heads.
Yeah.
Then a clothes bag, and this is like all of my clothes, including what I wore, is stuffed into this bag.
So my hat was the OR hat, which I have stuffed in here, which was both of these hats were really lightweight.
So long sleeve shirt.
So we both had these sun shirts. Mine's a tier, and literally this is what we wore every single day, was this type of a sun shirt, which was perfect. We also have merino wool long sleeve also, and those were a little bit warm for the temperatures we have, but they were great for after, like the end. So I know it sounds weird to wear the same thing every single day, but we washed these out every single day and then hung them up to dry.
And they're fast drying. Yeah, so even on hot days, I ended up wearing this a lot, even though I had a short sleeve shirt, which I did wear on occasion, but this is also what I would sleep in most of the time.
So we both also have a long sleeve merino wool, and I forget the brand. This is Ridge something.
That's my black one.
Ridge. So this was great at the end of the day while our hiking stuff that we were washing out was drying. We had something nice and clean to wear afterwards. So this was our evening wear.
Yeah. Tech pants, had 2 pair. One to wear and one to have in the evening while I was washing. And you really need to do that because at least the time when we were there, again, in the fall, you oftentimes came back and they were just like filthy, like just muddy all the way up. So You really have to have another pair of pants or shorts if you don't mind running around when it's cool in shorts. That's also an option.
So I have 2 bras.
No bra here.
Yeah, Rhonda doesn't need bras anymore.
Underwear. We went with, what was these were
merino wool.
Merino wool again. Just fast drying and wicking, so you don't have to worry about
Really comfortable.
like sweating or whatever.
Or smells. So I also have 2 pairs of REI Trail Made pants, which I absolutely love. So one for during the day, and again, one for evening wear.
3 pairs of socks, 2, I like toe socks, and then 1 just anklet socks. Didn't have anything super warm as far as socks were concerned. I ended up not liking my toe socks on days that I had to go downhill. So if I was going to do something different, I probably would have changed that and just had 1 pair of toe socks. And the reason I like them is it keeps my toes apart. I had less friction, less issues with blisters on my toes, except on downhills. And then I was finding that it was pushing this way inside my toes, and it became uncomfortable.
And socks for me, I have the right socks. So these are supposed to be anti-blister because they're kind of a double layer sock. So I love these socks, but I did have an issue that I'll talk about in a few minutes as far as blisters. So these weren't 100%, even though they're still my favorite socks for hiking. All right.
Handkerchiefs. I carried them and you did not, but I have a tendency to have a nose drip. So I carried I think I carried 3 or 4 of these, which allowed me to have 1 or 2 a day and wash them out.
3 pairs of underwear for me. 1 sort of polyester tech pair and 2 merino wool. And then, so Rhonda had handkerchiefs, and I soon discovered that because of the cold temperatures sometimes that I was also using a buff as wiping my nose. Now we started off, where's my merino wool one? Yeah, right here. We started off with merino wool buffs, thinking it was going to be pretty cool, and maybe the first couple of days it was over the Pyrenees, but these turned out to be heavier than we actually needed. The merino wools are a little bit thicker. So this is one of the items we sent back.
Heavy.
But with that being said, it allowed me to buy some lighter weight buffs. One buff here is a Camino buff, so it's kind of a nice souvenir as well, which is perfect. And then the day we left, Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, they had a fun run, breast cancer fun run. So I went over there to see if they had any merch, and they did. So I have this really nice buff. Now these are awesome for everything because you can wear them from a neck scarf. We wore these the very, very first day over the Pyrenees. It was so windy and it was a little bit cold, so we had our hats on, and then this actually went over and kept our hats on and kept our ears warm. So those are just absolutely. And I also had a short sleeve merino wool t-shirt that I wore at night or when it got warm. Again, quick drying, no smells, so this was absolutely perfect. So we did not take any sleepwear. We slept in underwear and a t-shirt at night, and then washed this stuff out occasionally, which was perfect. And then got my second pair of trail made pants. So 2 pairs of pants and 3 tops. That's it for 6 weeks, and honestly, that was just plenty.
You never have to think about what you're going to put on in the morning because it's the same thing every day. But you do have to do laundry every day, and some people don't like that. So I mean, they just pack more stuff and send it forward if you want to do that. So, but for us, this worked perfectly.
And I will say, packing light was amazing. The people we saw got injured the most were the ones that had the heaviest packs. Yeah. I'm going to talk briefly about what's on the outside of my pack. I also have a pack cover for the rain. This is just an Osprey one over this pack. My rain pants. Now, rain pants are, there's going to be a lot of debate sometimes between rain gear versus poncho. And a lot of people, it's just really personal preference. So we had these great rain pants and we did not use them. Now it was a big risk. We decided to send these back because these packs are small. We had every outside pocket just stuffed. So these small packs were probably a little overstuffed and bulging out on all the sides. So it was a risk, but about, I don't know, 2 weeks in, We figured, you know, we didn't want them, so we sent them back with our buffs and another thing that I'll talk about in a second. So, but you gotta have something to keep you dry.
We took extra stuff for the Pyrenees because we didn't want to be going over that really high wind, potentially rainy area where you're very isolated and not have enough clothing. So, especially if we got stuck up there. So we had some stuff that we ended up not ending up using. It's kind of like carrying an umbrella and you don't need it. But if we had needed it, we probably would have loved that we were carrying this, but there was no point in carrying it for the whole trip.
Yeah. And I would say if you're doing a summer Camino, you don't need these. You might want a lightweight poncho maybe, and then our rain jackets that Rhonda talked about. These are awesome. We've gone through many rain jackets in our lives, and these Patagonia torrent shells seem to be the best rain jacket I've ever had.
Yeah, I love mine too.
And it's a pretty decent price compared to other rain jackets we have. So, yeah, I would not send this back just because we did have cold. There was a couple days where we wore our puffer jackets and this over top, and we were warm enough.
Another thing that we ended up sending back.
Yeah, so if you're the kind of person that is going to do the albergues, that means sleeping in albergues with a lot of other people. You really have to have a sleeping bag liner or a blanket or something, because the albergues, most of them do not supply any bedding at all. We went with the Asita Summer Breeze liners. They're cool max, but they're also an insect shield because people talk about bed bugs. We decided on this trip to only stay in private rooms. Now there's albergues with private rooms we did. We stayed in hostels, which is not really a hostel like you think about it here in the States, but it is like one step below a hotel. We did stay in hotels occasionally, and B&Bs or pensions. We always had bedding. So this is something that was a whole pound that we ended up sending back as well because we never needed it. And so we met some friends or made some friends. We'd come down in the morning, one of the albergues we stayed at in a private room, and she was sleeping on the couch. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? She goes, oh God, I could not sleep last night. Too much snoring. So we did the private room route so we can avoid the snoring and the farting and the smelly, half-dressed men.
People getting up at really early hours to leave early, turning on lights and stuff like that when you're trying to still sleep is also one of the reasons that I didn't want to go that way.
And obviously it adds to the cost, but it's your own Camino, so you get to choose how you do it.
Towel. This is just a tech towel, and originally we took towels again because we weren't sure if we were going to be staying in hotels or whatever that actually provided towels. It turned out every place we went always had one, but I ended up I had one other one, small one, and I carried that. I always had it on my backpack because we would stop to have coffee or something, and oftentimes morning dew was on the chairs and tables, and I would use that to dry it off, and then I would just rinse it or wash it in the evening so that it would be clean. So it was good to have that. Or if you washed your hands after using the restroom and there was no towels or paper towels or anything like that, having something to dry your hands with was really handy. So I definitely used the small towel nearly every day.
Yeah, so this is just like a washcloth size towel, just a little tech towel. So every place we stayed, and I think most of Europe, for some reason, they don't do washcloths for showers. So bringing just a thing that you can wash yourself with was really awesome to have that.
So I just had a brace that I could put on if my knee was bothering me. If you have a problem, whether it's a bad ankle, a bad knee, or whatever, chances are that is going to act up on this trip because of the stress on your body. So at some point, so I had this, I mean, it's not super lightweight, but I was thankful that I had it. And then finally, on the bottom of my pack is, there are a few other things in here, my recovery shoes. And I kept them in this bag because I thought, well, what if it's all dirty? I don't want to make the inside of my pack all dirty. But I ended up, it was useful to have this. Again, if we'd done our wash and it didn't get dry, I could just put it in here and not get everything else wet. But also if these were muddy.
Crocs Light Ride, these were amazing for her.
Yeah.
And I went with UFAs, and these were amazing. I actually wore these when I had blisters a little bit on the trail. Not super great for walking long distance, but they were really comfy. And I wore them at the end of every day, walking around towns and going out to eat. So
I wore these with socks mostly because it was so cold, but I have a wide foot and these were super comfortable. I have a hard time finding shoes that fit me very well. So if you have that situation, I highly recommend these. I also have a fairly high arch and I have plenty of arch support with these.
So a couple extra things in my pack are some Ziploc bags. So we had sandwich size and quart size, and these were great for, you know, if you go to the store and you get some bread or, you know, cheese or just stuff, you know, it's always good to have some Ziploc bags. Those were perfect. I also brought just a bag that you can pull out for groceries, so for shopping, or if you just needed an extra bag at the end of the day for whatever you need an extra bag for. That was wonderful having that reusable bag. I did start to talk about this. All of our clothes and electronics were in the Sea to Summit, basically waterproof bags. So like hikers who use these, we've got some really thick ones. These are super thin. They're totally waterproof. Sleep mask, because I'm a light sleeper, and if there's any light, I don't like that at all. Earplugs. Earplugs are probably one of the best things you could have, especially if you're sleeping in an albergue.
I don't wear them, I never have.
Or if you are with somebody that snores.
Yeah.
And what else is in
Phone charger. Watch charger. And did we take this with us?
No, we didn't take the luggage scale with us, but I can tell you that my pack, it's great to have these ahead of time so that you know what your pack weight is. Mine was right about 12 pounds, and Rhonda's without, and that was with water, but without food, and yours is about 14 pounds. So we weighed ours before we left. So this is a good thing to have ahead of time so you really know. The general rule is 10 to 15% of your body weight, but obviously it's better to go as low as you possibly can.
Highly recommended.
Yeah. So also in my pack is a first aid kit, just a really small one that I put some Band-Aids in, a little sewing kit, which if you go look online, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but if you get blisters, you can thread your blisters with a needle and thread, which I did end up doing. And then, yeah, I've just got some various moleskin and stuff like that in here. How are these? And you can buy them ahead of time on Amazon, or you can buy them at any drugstore, which is Compeed. Can you see that? So great for covering up blisters so they don't get worse.
I really recommend that you have some tape and you have some Compeed ahead of time. If you just don't know if they'll be sold out, or if you're in a really small town and you develop a blister, there's no guarantee that they will be open, one, or two, be fully stocked if there's been a run on it.
Yeah. Okay. Hair ties. Yeah. That's the last I have in here. Okay.
Also for cleaning up, mention the towel. We also had our own little pocket soap.
Yeah, these are great. So these are just these little, basically, they're Sea to Summit because they're great for everything. They're just these little tiny square things here, but when they're in water, they turn into soap, and they're great because a lot of places, if you're going into a bar or whatever to have coffee and you need to use the restroom, a lot of them didn't have soap to wash your hands. And I feel like being around a lot of people all day, and it's good to wash your hands as much as possible.
And hand sanitizer.
Yes, in my waist pack, I have some ibuprofen. Now, this is something we actually forgot, and we ended up buying over there. And is affordable.
It was on our list.
As affordable as Spain is, and a lot of things are very inexpensive, ibuprofen was pretty expensive there. So yeah, and we needed it. In my waist pack, of my backpack, I also have some toilet paper.
And chapstick. And for some reason, I don't have it in my pack right now, but we did carry chapstick with sunscreen.
And medication. So I've got medication for my thyroid. I kept close to me at all times, just so I just didn't want to lose it. So that was also in my waist strap of my backpack. And I believe that is everything in my pack. You'll see that we both have scallop shells on our pack. This is a sign of being a pilgrim on the Camino. Rhonda actually bought hers at the pilgrim check-in office at Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and I decided I'm just going to go without one. And after a while I started sending my pack forward, and then when I picked it up at one of our accommodations, it had one on there. So either the transport company did it, or this really nice lady at one of the pensions we stayed at. So yeah, it's kind of cool because mine was a gift.
Yeah.
Right, so one of the things we wish we thought we would, so I have my electronics bag here and another waterproof bag. One of the things you couldn't mail back because it has a lithium battery, but we didn't end up needing was a backup battery for our cell phones, because our cell phones lasted all day, so it was perfect. And so did our watches. We were kind of surprised that our watches lasted all day, even though they were recording how far we were going. So we just had these little Anchor, these were just one of the smallest ones, but I think I used it once, and I've heard other people say they didn't really need it. I felt with recording and taking as many photos as we did that we need to use it, and we didn't. So I wouldn't, don't need really to carry that. The rest of what I have in here is Ziploc bag for some reason. So I put most of the charging cords in here. Rhonda had a couple on her as well. So for our phones, for our watches, and for our iPods. And a couple of things that were very, very helpful. Or earplugs. You want some sort of adapter, so some sort of double prong adapter for Spain, like this one. Hopefully you can see that. Just so that we'd have both of them. Now, one of the things Rhonda's got over here that she pulled out was a 10-foot cord, basically, for our cell phone. We bought it at the airport or Fred Meyer or wherever. But anyway, that 10 cords probably overkill. But actually 10 feet was perfect because there was a lot of outlets that were pretty far away from where we were in our rooms. All right, I've got this Epica. This is a multi-outlet. This one it's got a US and a UK and a Europe. So again, it's got these different, and then you push them back in, and then we'll use this for the UK when we go next year. And I'll put a link to this below. This was great. This is also nice because it's got 4 USB plugs in the end there, which is wonderful to plug in multiple things.
Sometimes you're staying someplace and you have one outlet, so you pretty much have to plug almost all of your electronics in overnight.
Right, and then this one I would plug into this, or I was able even to plug it into here. This is our Anchor Prime. This is amazing as well. So it's got 1 USB and 3 USB-C plug-ins. So we use this a lot. It was both of those are like 2 of the best things we used on pretty much every day. And then more cords, yay! And then backup cords.
So this is a toiletry kit. It's got
See you at a summit.
It's got a little hook on it, so if you're in the bathroom, and you can hang it up. Hairbrush.
Just foldable one with a little mirror on it too. So nice and compact.
DC charger for the
toothbrush. Oh, this stuff is amazing. So we really wanted to not have a lot of liquids with us. So this is the Dr. Bronner's 18-in-1 pure Castile soap. This stuff is good for everything, and a little bottle goes a long way. It's very concentrated. So basically we use this for shampoo, we used it for our laundry, we used it for our hands, we used it for a body wash. I mean, this lasted 2 of us, and we still have
a little left.
Yeah, we still have some left. So this lasted 6 weeks for 2 of us using this little tiny thing.
We rarely had shampoo provided in the places that we stayed. So leave-in conditioner.
So we used it's a 10, and we each had just a small bottle that we separated when we were going through the plane travel. So this is great because it's a leave-in conditioner, small bottle, but 2 of these lasted us. So we went through 1 of them, but yeah.
Deodorant.
Ooh.
Small
Enough
one.
said. Yep.
Vaseline. I use this on my feet every single day. I got 0 blisters.
So this little Sea to Summit is a clothes hanger, basically. We only used it once or twice. There was usually some way we can hang stuff up, but it's so small and takes up no room. I think it was definitely worth having. Okay, I'm not going to be shy
Liners.
here. Yeah,
Different
panty liners. Just keep your underwear fresh if you want. There's also, I know in my pack, a lot of people ask about certain areas about going to the bathroom. Now, it wasn't usually a problem, and I'm one that literally has to pee a lot. The only problem, the only area was a problem was in the Meseta, and that's, you know, almost 5 or 6 days of just walking in some of these open agricultural lands. We loved it, but there's not really any woods to go hide behind if you have to pee. So there's different options. Some ladies will use a Shiwi. I've never used one. You can do something like a pee pad, you know, like a Depends or something. I was fortunate most of the time I didn't have to, just because we left early in the morning and I had Ron to do a lookout and like, okay, see if anybody's coming, and I'd go down to the ditch or something to pee. And
laundry. So these are little laundry sheets.
Yeah, so this is like the Good Earth or the True Earth laundry sheets.
So if you're just doing a couple of things, you can just tear off a piece of this to kind of lather up or wash your stuff with.
There are laundromats, so
Yeah.
there was occasion where we did use a laundromat or a washer and dryer in the accommodations where we were staying, just to get that extra clean, because, you know, hand washing every day doesn't get it as clean.
Of course, toothpaste, tweezers, floss,
and I think that's it. Now we also had fanny packs to carry some snacks in and some other little odds and ends. So right in St. John, we did buy a little Swiss Army knife, and we used this knife more than I thought we would. We used it a lot. We used it for food, we used it for bread, cheese, meat, wash it off, used it for cutting tape, for blisters, and it even has a little wine thing on here, which I'm not sure we ever did use. Also bought trekking poles because we didn't check bags, and we bought these trekking poles in St. Jean Pied de Port. These are leaky. You could buy any type of trekking poles. Oops, sorry.
I love these trekking poles though.
They're super lightweight. So these are amazing. You can spend as little or as much as you want on trekking poles. And then when we came back, we bought a little duffel bag at Decathlon and stuck these and the knife in there and just checked them on the way back.
Because we love them so much.
Yes.
We ended up getting rid of our regular hiking poles and keeping these.
Mm-hmm.
We love them so much.
Right, so let's talk about our fanny packs. So these are just little fanny packs that we wore also. We would keep...
We added this.
Yes, you did. And you were so nice to sew mine on too. We kept our passports in here and then on us at all times. This was great for during the day.
I don't have it to pull out, but...
Yeah, and then at night, walking around, you can just sling it around you or wear it. And then inside...
Sunglasses.
Sunglasses, yep. AirPods.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kept one of those battery backups in here and then end up at the bottom of my pack later on. I kept my chapstick in mine, so get something that's got some sunscreen protection in there, because it was definitely...
And I kept my buff that I bought in here.
And I kept my hand sanitizer in here. And we both each had like this little journal that we could write in.
I put mine in a bag in case my fanny pack is not waterproof, so if it dumped rain, I didn't have to worry about my notebook getting wet.
So in our plastic bags too, we kept our credential. These are really fun because this gives you a wonderful little record of everything. So along your Camino, you get these wonderful stamps, and it's really fun to look back even right now and look at all these stamps that we got. So we kept these in a plastic bag, and we end up getting a second one along the way to finish off with. And yeah, this is amazing to look back on. I want to go back.
And then a map. So at the beginning, when we did our check-in, they gave us this map. And I have to tell you, when I looked at this map, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Actually, they didn't give this map when we checked in. This actually came from one of the books we'd used. So just not, so you don't look for this map at check-in. So
they had a similar one, I think, that we didn't take.
Yeah. And then when you do check in at St. John, they give you a whole list of all the albergues as well.
So what I ended up doing on this map is keeping track of like where we stayed along the way, what mileage we did, and what day. So I actually can look on here and know exactly where we were on day 4 and 5, etc. But it was a handy thing as far as like being able to go back and reference, and we could see our progress on this map. It was actually, I don't know if that was good or bad, because early on I was looking at it going, holy moly, we got a lot more to go.
And then I have a pen. But yeah, like Rhonda said, they do give you a map in there, and some of it has better elevation on it than this one does. So you could really see what kind of hill you're going to be on. Shoes. Okay, we go ahead, Rhonda, and talk about your shoes.
Keens. I actually ended up buying 2 sets because when we were training and walking, I tried these out and I liked them. And they were the waterproof kind. And I wore them out almost to the, as we got close to the actual Camino, I looked at the treads and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to need a new set because I don't know how long they'll last. And it's not just the tread, it's also arch support for me. So then I ended up buying another set of Keens, but these were not waterproof. And the reason I went with non-waterproof is because they're easier to dry out, which doesn't sound like that would be the right thing, but what happens is, especially if you're not wearing rain pants, water runs down your pants, your legs or whatever, and goes into your shoe. Now once they're wet, the non-waterproof shoes actually dry out faster, and they'll be dry the next morning most of the time. Now what you don't see in these that I can't pull out is I had cushioned insoles inserts that I put in, and I carried a spare set because I wasn't sure I could find them over there. It turned out most of the larger towns had them, so I could have purchased another one because they wear out. I went about halfway and then I put new ones in. I might have been able to make the whole thing in one set, but I probably wouldn't have the amount of cushion I needed. What I found for me anyway is that I really needed additional cushion on the heel. So I had a full foot insert, but I think of anything, if I had to just go with something, would just be a heel cushion because of all the miles and the hard surfaces. So I love these. These worked really good.
Yeah, so I had some shoe issues, which was unfortunate. So during training, I was wearing these Merrell Moab Speed 2s. I think that's what these are, and loved them. So I was going back between my Merrells and my Obos. If you go to any of the forums or any of the Facebook groups, you're gonna see a lot of discussion on both the waterproof versus non-waterproof, but also like Hokas. Everybody loves their Hokas and their Ultras, which are great, but those are flat. There's no drop. These actually have a 10 millimeter drop between the heel and the toe. Now, for someone like me that's had Achilles issues and Achilles surgery in the past, I have to have a shoe that's got at least a 10 millimeter drop. So my Merrells were 10 and my Obos were 15. When it came down to it, as far as that discussion on waterproof versus non, I decided to go with non-waterproof for that reason that they actually dry faster. Once your waterproof ones get wet, they take longer to dry. So at the last minute, not so much last minute, but a couple weeks ahead of time, I thought, well, these are a little bit lighter weight. I don't know if they're going to hold up as well as my oboes. So I went and bought a pair of oboes that were non-waterproof, and I wore them for a few weeks. I'm like, okay, these are just great. And then I took them on the Camino, and I had problems going into the Zubiri. It's very uneven, and your foot's doing a lot of this. And I didn't get blisters right away. We took a day off, and then the next day we had a really long day of like 19 miles.
And it was hot.
And it was hot, and I started to get a hot spot. Tried to take care of these blisters, but I still was having this pain in my foot, and I couldn't really figure out why. It turns out, and so I ended up going to a shoe store and getting a different pair of shoes. You know, I was still having this pain, and even though I would thread and drain my blisters and cover them up, I was still having pain. Well, I figured out eventually that it was my custom orthotics that were rubbing like underneath the blister and causing me this pain. So as soon as I figured that out, I took that knife we had and I started shaving down this hard metal edge that's right here. So long story short, I wish I would have just stuck with my Merrells, because even after we've come back to the Camino, these are the shoes I wear for everything, for hiking, and you know, I've never had a problem. And these are really great. So they look like tennis shoes, but these are full-on hiking shoes. They are lighter weight than say your Keens or the oboes I was wearing, but these are super comfortable for me. So yeah, everybody's foot's different, so we can't really give you a great recommendation because everybody is different with their feet. Let's talk about our packs and how we ultimately felt about these. So we love these packs. These are great. We wear them for all of our day hikes. Now, these are rated to 20 pounds, but when we were, you know, got food in them, they were getting upwards of 14 pounds, and they did start to get kind of uncomfortable. I was having the foot pain because of the blisters. I was starting to have some more hip pain. And so ultimately, after the halfway mark, I decided to start sending my pack forward. And it was so seamless and so easy. You just fill out a tag. I went online and just did a little reservation thing and paid online. You leave a little tag on it at your accommodation, and magically it appears at your next place when you get there, and it's already there. I would say that for the amount of stuff we had stuffed in the side and the back pocket, it probably would have been a little bit easier to go with a 24 to 28 liter pack, just because it would have distributed the weight a little better. And I think the straps, for the shoulder straps, it would have been a little bit more padded, as well as the waist strap would have been maybe a little bit longer and a little bit more padded as well. And maybe with a more rigid back, it may have been a little bit more comfortable. So a little bit bigger pack obviously would have been a little bit more weight, but it would have distributed the weight a little bit better. Yeah, so this is great. I mean, if you don't have it stuffed too full, I think. So with that, like I said, I decided to start sending my pack ahead. I could have kept wearing this, but maybe with less weight in it. And then maybe sent a different, like a mutual bag ahead or something, and just use these as our day bags. So a lot of people do that. I mean, you'll see a range of everybody from just having hardly anything on their back as they're sending their main bags ahead, to people with full-on backpacks stuffed full. So I found this neat little foldable backpack in a travel shop in one of the towns. It's just a travel safe mini backpack. This was perfect. I put my water bottle in here. I put, you know, my puffer jacket, my rain jacket if I needed to, and my snacks. And then this was super lightweight, and I sent my pack forward at the halfway mark. Pack's down so small too, so I mean I could use this as a grocery bag as well and just carry it. So this might go on our next big trip as well. What else? Is that everything? That's everything. That's everything we packed for 6 weeks on the Camino.
If you have questions, please leave them in the comments below. We have links to almost everything, I hope, down below as well, to all these products in case there's something of particular interest. We had a great time.
Highly recommended.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you have any other questions, please drop those in the comments below. I'll try and get those answered from you. And if you ever thought, again, if you ever think about doing a Camino, it is one of the coolest things we've ever done. Can't wait to do another one in our future. Rhonda's thinking for sure for her 70th birthday. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
One last tip. Translator app. Download. Oh, I don't have
That's a
my cell
whole
phone.
nother video. Anyway, Google Translate.
Google Translate. Download the languages you think you might run into, because you probably run into more, but at least have.
Oh, and you can have those offline.
If you're not fluent.
Which we're not. All right. Check you down the road. Have safe travels, and thank you for watching this video.